Unlimited energy on the moon? The discoveries of helium-3 on the moon by Chang'e. China may have just discovered a mineral on the moon that unlocks unlimited energy, and what they found could be worth upward of $1.5 quadrillion. So, let's dive into what they've found and whether or not it could solve the world's energy crisis. Welcome to another episode. If you enjoy this type of content, then subscribe and hit the bell icon so you never miss out on any of our latest and greatest uploads. A new mineral, Chang'e-Y, was discovered from the moon samples retrieved by China's Chang'e-5 probe. China has discovered a moon crystal called Chang'e-Y, made up of a material previously unknown to us via lunar samples collected by China's Chang'e-5. In 2020, the Chinese mission came in contact with the surface of the moon from where it collected nearly 2 kilos of moon rocks and delivered them to Earth. China believes that this mineral might be a key ingredient for nuclear fusion, and could be a way to produce unlimited energy, New Atlas reports. The moon's surface is mostly a mystery to humans. It has not been explored enough or revisited in decades. However, with this new discovery, nations might have just found a new reason to journey to the moon. Scientists have been trying to find ways to harness unlimited energy for a while now. If they can find out what ingredients make this moon crystal and reproduce those components, it could allow humans to produce energy without having to burn fossil fuels and cause pollution. One of the main ingredients they found in the lunar crystal was helium-3. The element is considered a stable source of fuel for nuclear fusion reactors. Being extremely rare on Earth, it is not readily available, and is even harder to produce. However, since it seems to be abundant on the moon, it could be taken from there to create power and make nuclear fusion reactors more usable. The Chinese Chang'e-5 mission has returned a new mineral from the lunar surface. Chinese scientists call the mineral Chang'e-Y. The mineral has been described by the state-operated news agency Xinhua as a, quote, kind of colorless, transparent columnar crystal. Also, the Chinese claim that the new mineral contains helium-3, an isotope that many scientists have touted as a potential fuel for future fusion reactors. The crystal mineral was exceedingly tiny, about 1/10 the size of a human hair. The new mineral is of immense interest to lunar geologists. The helium-3 that it contains has the potential to change the world. Scientists have known the lunar surface contains deposits of helium-3 since the Apollo program. The main advantage of helium-3 fusion over fusion using tritium and deuterium, isotopes of hydrogen, is that it doesn't create radioactive neutrons. Its main disadvantage is that achieving a controlled fusion reaction with helium-3 is far more difficult than using conventional fuels. According to NASA, China is preparing to mount the next phase of its lunar exploration program that will lead to a research base at the south pole of the moon. The planned missions include Chang'e-6, which, like Chang'e-5, will be a sample return mission, focusing on the lunar south pole. It will likely attempt to bring back ice located in the permanently shadowed craters at the south pole. Chang'e-7, which will be an orbiter, lander, rover combination designed to prospect for water at the lunar south pole. This mission may precede that of Chang'e-6. And Chang'e-8, said to be designed to test technologies for the eventual construction of a lunar base. China, perhaps in partnership with Russia, still plans crewed lunar landings sometime in the 2030s. In the meantime, NASA's twice-delayed Artemis 1 mission has a new launch date. If all goes well, the mighty Space Launch System rocket will lift off on September 27th, with October 2nd as a backup launch date. Whenever it launches, the mission will send an Orion spaceship, packed full of instruments and other cargo, on a long voyage around the moon before splashing down in the Pacific Ocean off the coast of California. 2 robotic space missions, one by Intuitive Machines and the other by Astrobotic, are still scheduled to launch by the end of the year or the beginning of next year. If successful, they will land probes on the lunar surface, proving the efficacy of the Commercial Lunar Payload System, or CLPS, program that is pairing private companies with NASA to begin lunar exploration in earnest. More CLPS missions will take place in the following years, though the program is haunted by the bankruptcy of one of the participants, Masten Space Systems. NASA still plans to send Artemis 2 and a crew of 4 astronauts, one of them from Canada, around the moon in 2024. The next year, or perhaps the year following, Artemis 3 will land the first astronauts on the lunar surface since the mission of Apollo 17 in 1972. Many reasons exist for returning to the moon. science, commerce, and the bragging rights that translate into soft political power. However, China's return of Helium-3 suggests that the moon could become the Persian Gulf of the mid to late 21st century. Clean and abundant fusion energy would change the world in ways that can barely be evaluated. Of course, the problem remains of getting the technology of Helium-3 fusion working. Helium-3 fusion may not become a reality before the middle of this century because of the technological obstacles involved. Some changes in American space and energy policy might hasten the advent of Helium-3 fusion, however. The United States should start testing mining operations on the moon's surface, particularly extracting helium-3 from lunar soil. Then, helium-3 could be transported to Earth and provided to research laboratories, so they can continue research and development of what promises to be a solution to both energy scarcity and climate change. The country that controls the source of energy that keeps technological civilization running will control the Earth. If China becomes that country, considering its human rights record and imperial foreign policy, history will take a dark turn. Therefore, the United States and the countries that have signed the Artemis Accords must acquire control of lunar helium-3 and develop the technology to use it as a source of fusion energy. Thus, the Artemis program will ensure the continuance of prosperity and human freedom on the Earth. Helium-3 is a gas that has potential to be used to produce energy here on Earth. However, there is very little helium-3 on Earth. Helium-3 is produced by the sun and carried by solar winds. Our atmosphere prevents helium-3 from reaching Earth, but since the moon has no atmosphere, there is nothing to stop helium-3 from reaching the surface of the moon and being absorbed by the moon's soil. Scientists estimate that the moon has over 1 million tons of helium-3, which was transported by solar winds and is a renewable resource. Scientists estimate that 25 tons of helium-3 could power the United States for an entire year. This much helium-3 could be transported from the moon to Earth in a ship the size of the recently retired space shuttle. If the United States were able to mine the helium-3 on the moon, it might solve our energy problems. Not many people have ever heard of helium-3, and even fewer understand how it could be used. Currently, many countries on Earth use nuclear power plants to produce heat, which turns water into steam to generate electricity. These nuclear power plants use a process called nuclear fission, which creates radioactive waste that is dangerous and expensive to store safely. On the other hand, helium-3 is used in a process called nuclear fusion that combines the helium with a substance called deuterium. When the two are combined, energy is produced, but no harmful waste is created. There are issues with using helium-3 to create an energy source. First, no one has ever used this process to create a large amount of energy. There simply is not enough helium-3 here on Earth to be used in a nuclear power plant. Second, scientists estimate 1 million tons of moon soil would be needed to produce 70 tons of helium-3. This is too much moon soil to transport to Earth. Third, extracting helium-3 from the moon's soil will require superheating rocks on the surface of the moon. A process for doing this in space would need to be developed. Finally, a spacecraft with the ability to transport the helium-3 to Earth would need to be built. There is a lot to learn about using helium-3 as a source of energy, but it could solve the Earth's energy needs. And with that, we've reached the end of this video all about unlimited energy on the moon, the discoveries of Helium-3 on the moon by Chang'e 5. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for content just like it.